This is a deep dive into forbidden metaphysics, the ancient truths humanity was never meant to forget. Within these words lie the keys to how reality truly works, the direct connection between your inner world and everything you experience. As you listen, you will begin to remember what your soul has always known. You are not just living in the universe, you are the universe dreaming itself into being. The unseen architects of reality. Before the first light, when silence still held the blueprint of creation, there were those who understood that reality wasn't solid matter. They knew it was a living current of consciousness, folding and unfolding. These guardians of hidden truth spoke in symbols. They spoke of mirrors that dream, of thoughts that birth worlds, of a sacred power woven into the very fabric of awareness. You stand now at this ancient doorway, not as someone seeking new facts, but as someone awakening to old memories. The law of attraction was never just about wanting things. It is the very pulse of existence. It is the unseen rhythm by which thought becomes form. This current flows through everything, a secret river of light carrying every possibility. With every thought you have, you send ripples across eternity. With every feeling, you sculpt the world you call your own. What you will discover here isn't written on paper alone. It is etched into the field of your own being. Each section is a gateway. Every word is a vibration, tuning you to the deeper architecture of creation. The stories within are living keys, made to wake up what has long slept inside your soul. You have spent lifetimes searching for truth in temples, in scriptures, and in the stars. Yet the answers have always whispered from inside you. Between your thoughts lies a vast, unexplored realm. This is the quantum womb of all potential. Here, consciousness sculpts reality with divine precision. This isn't just poetic language. This is the fundamental law the universe rests upon. The teachings you are about to receive have never been truly hidden. They simply waited for humanity to look inward once more. Now, as the veil thins and awareness expands, these forbidden truths rise like constellations reborn. They are timeless, radiant, and utterly familiar to the soul that is ready to remember. What follows is not instruction, but initiation. It is an unveiling of the sacred mechanics of existence. Each phrase you hear carries a frequency. Each insight is a doorway. Step through and rediscover the power that was never lost, only forgotten. Before we go deeper, take a moment. Affirm your intention to the universe. Comment "I am ready" below. The mirror that doesn't lie. In a quiet town, where the rising sun painted the cobblestones in soft colors, Evelyn stood before her antique vanity mirror. Each morning, she recited affirmations that felt hollow against the glass. Her dreams of success and meaning stayed stubbornly distant, like stars that wouldn't come down from the sky. One morning, as she pressed her hands against the cool surface, a crack spread across the old glass. But in that moment of apparent bad luck, wisdom arrived like morning dew. The crack in the mirror showed a deeper truth. It wasn't the glass that needed fixing, but her own broken view. The universe works by an unchanging law. Your outer world reflects not your spoken wishes, but the vibration of your deepest beliefs. When your words say you have plenty, but your heart whispers of not enough, reality listens to the stronger signal. This is why just repeating desires brings little result. The mirror of life answers not to what you say, but to what you embody. Evelyn's change began when she looked inside herself. Instead of trying to force her circumstances to change, she changed her consciousness. Her morning ritual shifted. She stopped reciting empty phrases. She started truly feeling her desires as if they were already real. The mirror no longer showed her what she lacked. It showed her who she was becoming. In a far-off valley, a small bird repeatedly hit a clear window. It exhausted itself trying to reach the sky, it saw reflected. The window's clarity became a barrier precisely because it was invisible. In the same way, our clearest intentions sometimes trap us. We need to realize that the way forward isn't by force, but by changing how we see things. Your reality is an obedient mirror. It reflects back the sum of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with perfect accuracy. When you grasp this truth, you hold the key to transformation. The power is not in changing your reflection, but in becoming what you wish to see reflected. As night draws its velvet curtain across the sky, lie in peaceful quiet. Close your eyes. See your reflection, not in glass, but in the mirror of reality itself. See this reflection smiling back at you, radiating the joy of your fulfilled desires. Let this image be the last thought you hold as you drift to sleep. Know that tomorrow's world is being shaped by today's vision. The frequency beneath words. Within ancient texts, a truth appears through the story of Henry. He was a seeker who learned that words alone cannot shape destiny. Each morning he stood by his window, his voice strong and clear, declaring prosperity and abundance into the dawn. His affirmations were perfect, taken from the most famous teachers of manifestation, yet his world stayed unchanged, as if deaf to his pronouncements. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, listens not to the poetry of our words, but to the music of our being. Your thoughts may speak one language, while your heart whispers another. This difference creates a vibrational conflict that the law of attraction cannot resolve. When Henry spoke of wealth, his stomach clenched with scarcity. When he affirmed love, his shoulders carried the weight of loneliness. His words floated upward, while his energy sank downward, creating a spiritual stalemate. This brings us to a sacred principle. The universe responds to your frequency, not your vocabulary. Like a skilled musician, you must tune your entire instrument, not just perfect the lyrics of your song. Your emotions are the strings. When plucked, they send vibrations into the cosmic web of creation. Consider the story of an ancient radio in a mountain temple. A young monk spent days trying to tune into sacred broadcasts. Between two stations, his radio crackled. One was full of static and fear. The other resonated with clarity and joy. No matter how precisely he recited sacred mantras, the static continued. This went on until he learned to adjust his own internal frequency first. Only when his heart found peace did the clear station emerge, carrying the wisdom he sought. This story mirrors your own journey with the law of attraction. Like that radio, you must align your emotional frequency with your spoken desires. When fear creates static in your vibration, even the most powerful affirmations get lost in the noise. But when your feelings harmonize with your words, reality has no choice but to reflect this alignment. The resonance of being. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and take 3 deep breaths, letting your awareness settle into your body. Now, speak your name aloud, slowly and carefully. Notice how the sound vibrates through your chest, how it feels in your throat, how it affects your emotional state. Keep speaking your name, letting its vibration fill you completely. This is how the universe experiences your energy, not as words but as pure vibration. Feel the difference between speaking only from your throat and speaking from your entire being. This sensation of alignment between sound and feeling is your guide to powerful manifestation. The law behind the laws. In a busy marketplace, Clara moved from stall to stall, collecting charms and trinkets said to bring good fortune. Her arms were heavy with crystals, her neck draped in amulets. She stumbled upon a simple tea shop. Inside, an elderly woman sat, who invited her in with knowing eyes. "You seek many laws," the woman said, pouring tea into a plain clay cup. when there exists only one awareness. Steam rose between them as Clara's collection clinked against the wooden table. The woman continued, "The universe works through a single principle. What you truly recognize as real must appear in your experience. Your belief isn't just a way you see reality. It is the very structure that shapes it." This truth is at the core of all spiritual teachings. Every ritual, every practice, every metaphysical law ultimately points to this fundamental reality. Your recognition creates your experience. When you deeply understand this, you realize that luck isn't something to be chased with outside objects. It is a natural expression of aligned awareness. In the mountains of the East, a stream flows where children play. A young girl named Maya showed this principle without knowing it. While others carefully planned their path across stepping stones, Maya simply walked. Each foot found solid ground exactly where she needed it. The stones seemed to rise from the water just as her foot came down, as if responding to her unwavering certainty. To those watching, it seemed she was walking on faith alone. Yet Maya wasn't operating on blind belief. She moved in perfect harmony with an unseen order she inherently trusted. Her awareness was so completely aligned with the possibility of safe passage that the universe had no choice but to provide it. This mirrors how consciousness creates reality. Your awareness isn't passive observation. It is active participation in the unfolding of existence. When you recognize something as true at the deepest level of your being, the universe works to make that truth appear in your physical experience. The crystals and charms Clara had collected weren't useless. They were tools for focusing awareness. But without the fundamental understanding that awareness itself is the creative force, such tools remain powerless symbols, empty of transformative potential. You may have noticed that when you become truly aware of something, be it an opportunity, a solution, or a synchronicity, it starts appearing everywhere in your life. This isn't coincidence. It is the law of awareness in action. Your recognition opens the door through which possibility becomes reality. The power was never in the rituals or the tools. It was always in the shift of awareness they helped create. When you understand this, you hold the master key to conscious creation. Every metaphysical teaching becomes a variation on this theme. Every spiritual practice, a different door to the same truth. Before making any big decision, find a moment of quiet. Close your eyes and whisper these words with deep recognition. I trust my awareness to show the next step. Let this declaration settle into your being, not as a hope or wish, but as an acknowledgement of what is already true. Then move through your day with open attention. Watch for the signs, synchronicity, and subtle nudges that appear. These aren't random events. They are consciousness itself speaking to you through the language of experience. They are the stepping stones appearing beneath your feet, guiding you forward on your path. The emotional compass. In the heart of a sprawling city, where ambition flows like a relentless river, Vera stood at her corner office. She was surrounded by achievements that felt hollow. Each goal reached brought temporary satisfaction, yet the emptiness inside grew deeper. Her life was a testament to society's idea of success, yet peace slipped from her grasp. The universe speaks through the language of feeling. This ancient wisdom reveals that emotions aren't just reactions to life's events. They are divine signals, guiding you toward or away from your highest path. When you feel joy, excitement, or peace, you are receiving confirmation that you walk in harmony with your soul's purpose. When anxiety, frustration, or emptiness arise, these aren't punishments. They are loving redirections. Think of your emotional state as a sacred compass, always pointing toward your true north. Each feeling serves as a precise calibration, showing whether you move toward expansion or contraction. In this light, so-called negative emotions become valuable allies. They show exactly where your attention and alignment are needed. In a distant mountain village lived Alexandra, a traveler who had lost her way. In her bag, she carried an unusual compass. It spun wildly when she followed paths others had chosen for her. For years, she ignored its erratic behavior, forcing herself down conventional routes that left her tired and confused. One dawn, as morning light touched the mountaintops, she realized the compass wasn't broken. It pointed not to magnetic north, but to her heart's true calling. Just as Alexandra discovered, your emotional compass never fails to show the path of authenticity. When you feel contracted, heavy, or resistant, you have wandered from your truth. When lightness, expansion, and peace fill your being, you walk in perfect alignment with your soul's wisdom. This ancient practice holds transformative power. Each morning, before the world's demands cloud your awareness, pause and sense your emotional state. Ask yourself, do I feel open or closed today? Let the answer guide your choices. Follow the path of openness, even when it defies logic or common sense. Your feelings are the universe's way of leading you home to yourself. Remember, in this vast cosmic dance, emotions aren't obstacles to overcome. They are sacred signposts lighting your way. They are the language through which the universe guides you toward your highest becoming. Upon waking each morning, before starting the day's activities, sit in quiet thought. Place your hand upon your heart and simply ask, do I feel open or closed today? Let the answer come naturally, without judgment. Let this emotional compass direct your choices, following the path of openness and changing course when you sense contraction. This practice, passed down through generations of wisdom seekers, aligns you with the universe's natural flow. Desire as divine dialogue. In a small cottage, at the edge of a vast forest, lived a woman named Ruthie. She spent her days caring for others, while her own dreams gathered dust in the corners of her heart. Each time a desire for more would surface, for adventure, abundance, or artistic expression, she would quickly dismiss it as selfish, unworthy, unspiritual. Your desires aren't random impulses or earthly greed. They are the universe's way of speaking through you. When you feel a yearning stirring in your soul, you are experiencing the eternal force of creation seeking to express itself anew. Just as the ocean creates waves, the infinite creates desires within you as its instrument of expansion. The desire you feel isn't separate from the power that spins galaxies and unfolds flowers. It is the same force individualized through your unique consciousness. When you deny your desires, you resist the very current of life itself. Your dreams aren't too big. They are precisely sized to the soul that holds them. Those who taught you to distrust desire didn't understand its sacred origin. They confused the pure impulse of creation with the ego's desperate grasping. True desire feels like inspiration, like joy anticipated, like wings unfolding. It doesn't diminish others, but uplifts all it touches. Among the ancient cedars, a tiny seed grew, buried deep beneath layers of fallen leaves. It didn't question its longing for light, its yearning to stretch toward the sun. The seed's desire was its destiny speaking, nature's intelligence awakening within its shell. Through winter's long darkness, this longing sustained it, guiding its growth upward until at last it emerged into spring's embrace. Like that seed, your desires contain the blueprint of your becoming. The universe plants dreams in your heart as surely as it plants seeds in soil. Your role isn't to judge these desires, but to nurture them, to trust that the same wisdom that guides stars and seasons guides the longings in your soul. The seed's journey mirrors your own. When you honor your desires, not with attachment, but with reverent attention, you align with the creative force of the universe itself. Your dreams aren't random wishes, but sacred instructions guiding you toward your highest expression. The sacred practice of desire. Each evening, as twilight softens the sky, sit in quiet contemplation. Place your hand upon your heart and acknowledge 3 desires that arise naturally within you. Speak them not as demands or desperate pleas, but as gentle recognition of the divine current moving through your being. This isn't a ritual of asking, but of listening, of honoring the sacred dialogue between your soul and the infinite. Let your desires be witnessed, knowing they are the universe's way of dreaming itself into new forms through you. The art of releasing resistance. In a bustling market square, Louisa clutched her manifestation journal like a shield. She checked off her detailed lists and timelines. Each morning she measured her progress against exact expectations, growing more frustrated as life refused to follow her carefully planned course. The more she tried to control outcomes, the more they seemed to slip through her fingers like water. You see, the universe works through a principle far more sophisticated than simple cause and effect. When you try to orchestrate every detail of your manifestations, you create resistance. This is a vibrational friction that blocks the natural flow of abundance. This friction comes not from the desire itself, but from the belief that struggle and control are needed for creation. The law of attraction responds not to your actions, but to your energetic state. When your energy is tangled with anxiety and over-planning, you send out a frequency of lack, a signal that says, I must manage everything because I don't trust life's intelligence. This very distrust becomes the barrier between you and your desires. Think of your manifestations as already complete in the quantum field. Your role isn't to force them into being, but to allow them to appear through the path of least resistance. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, sees connections and possibilities far beyond your limited view. It can arrange circumstances more elegantly than your most detailed plans. On the shores of an ancient sea lived an old fisherman named Xavier. Day after day he cast his net and pulled with all his might. Struggling against the waves, his nets came up empty. His arms grew tired, and fish seemed to avoid his desperate efforts. One morning, exhausted, he simply let go of his grip on the net. To his surprise, as it drifted naturally with the current, it filled with fish, drawn to its gentle movement in the water. This simple truth echoes across time. What you seek is seeking you. The fisherman's surrender wasn't defeat, it was alignment. By letting go of his rigid control, he allowed natural forces to work in his favor. The fish were always there. His struggle had been keeping them away. When you release your grip on how and when, you create space for the universe to reveal its perfect timing and method. This isn't passive waiting, but active allowing. It is a state of alert receptivity where you remain clear about your desire while being flexible about its delivery. Consider how a flower grows. It doesn't strain or struggle. It simply turns toward the sun and opens to receive. Its growth is assured not by force, but by alignment with natural law. Your manifestations flow with this same organic grace when you learn to trust the process. The practice of surrender. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Settle into a comfortable position and take 3 deep centering breaths. With each exhale, feel the tension of control melting from your body. Now bring to mind something you've been trying to manifest. Rather than strategizing or planning, simply whisper internally, it's already arranged. Feel the wave of relief that comes with releasing the burden of control. Let this relief become your prayer, your offering to the universe. Whenever you notice yourself slipping back into forceful thinking, return to these words and the feeling of deep relief they bring. This isn't giving up. It is giving over to a higher intelligence that knows the perfect path to your desires. Sacred imagination. In a sun-dappled garden, Nora sat with colored pencils and paper. She wasn't just sketching her dreams. She was breathing life into them. With each stroke, she filled the images with the essence of her deepest longings. A peaceful home overlooking the ocean, a thriving healing center, gardens bursting with life. As she drew, something extraordinary happened. The pictures began to pulse with an energy that reached back to her, as if acknowledging their future birth. This sacred act reveals a fundamental truth about creation. Your imagination isn't mere fantasy. It is the bridge between formless potential and manifest reality. When you envision with feeling, you activate a creative connection between consciousness and possibility. Each image held in your mind becomes a template in the quantum field, attracting the elements needed for its physical expression. The universe responds not to your words or actions first, but to the living pictures you hold in your consciousness. These images, when sustained with emotional energy, become magnetic fields, drawing their physical counterparts into being. This is why casual daydreams rarely manifest. They lack the sustained creative power of purposeful imagination. In the ancient city of Kashan lived Hassan, a young architect whose nights were filled with visions of magnificent structures. While others dismissed his detailed daydreams as idle fancy, Hassan knew differently. Each night he immersed himself in the experience of walking through his imagined palaces. He felt the cool marble beneath his feet, heard the musical splash of fountains, sensed the interplay of light and shadow through clever window designs. Years passed, and travelers began to whisper of wondrous new buildings rising in distant lands. Buildings that matched, stone for stone, the ones Hassan had built first in his mind. His imagined architecture had crossed the bridge from thought to form, proving that the unseen always comes before the seen. This tale whispers a timeless truth. What you hold clearly in consciousness must, by universal law, seek expression in form. The physical world is merely the final stage of a creative process that begins in the realm of pure possibility. Your imagination is the architect's tool. The practice of feeling into form. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and set aside the urge to picture specific objects or outcomes. Instead, immerse yourself in the feeling you most deeply desire. Perhaps it's peace, abundance, or love. For 5 minutes, live in this feeling as if it were already yours. Let it fill every cell of your being. Don't strain to make it happen. Simply allow yourself to become the living embodiment of this feeling. The universe will arrange the perfect forms to match your energetic signature. The quantum of gratitude. High in the mountains, a woman named Beatrice diligently wrote gratitude lists each morning. She dutifully noted her blessings, as countless spiritual teachers had advised. Yet with each entry, her heart grew heavier, not lighter. The words rang hollow, empty recitations that brought no joy. When you force gratitude, you create resistance to the very abundance you seek to acknowledge. True appreciation flows naturally, like water finding its course downstream. It cannot be commanded or compelled. The universe responds not to the words you write, but to the frequency you emit. When gratitude springs authentically from your being, it becomes a powerful force of attraction. It multiplies the very essence of what you truly appreciate. This is the hidden mechanism behind abundance, not the counting of blessings, but the natural overflow of genuine thankfulness. A wandering sage once shared the tale of Sophia, a gifted musician whose melodies had lost their magic. Night after night, she strained to tune her instrument, tightening strings until they nearly broke. Her music, though technically perfect, left audiences unmoved. One evening, sitting beneath the stars, Sophia began to hum in simple appreciation of the night's beauty. As she reached for her instrument, something had shifted. Instead of forcing the strings into compliance, she allowed gratitude to guide her fingers. The music that flowed forth that night touched souls and transformed hearts. She had discovered that true harmony comes not through tension, but through appreciation. This ancient wisdom reveals a profound truth. Gratitude isn't a practice to perfect, but a frequency to embody. When you align with genuine appreciation, you activate a resonance that attracts more experiences worthy of thanks. It becomes the energetic key that unlocks doors to higher dimensions of experience. Your gratitude doesn't need to be grand or complicated. The smallest acknowledgement, when genuine, carries more power than elaborate expressions born of obligation. A single moment of authentic appreciation ripples through the fabric of reality, creating pathways to greater abundance. The practice of enough. As you prepare for sleep each night, recall one simple pleasure from your day: the warmth of sunlight on your face, the taste of fresh water, the sound of a child's laughter. Let this memory fill you naturally, without force. Then, with eyes closed, whisper the word enough. Feel how this single word, when paired with genuine appreciation, expands your awareness of the abundance already present in your life. This isn't an exercise in positive thinking, but a realignment with the natural state of being that attracts more of what you truly value. The power of unseen support. In a bustling city, Hazel rushed through her days, carrying every burden alone. "The universe doesn't care about my tiny problems," she would mutter, dragging her heavy spirit from task to task. Until one morning, when running late for an important meeting, every traffic light turned green in succession. A stranger held open a closing elevator door. A canceled appointment created the perfect window for her presentation. These moments might seem random, but they form the language of universal support. What you perceive as coincidence is actually synchronicity. It is the invisible hand of life responding to your energy. When you release the need to control every outcome, you allow these unseen currents to carry you toward your highest good. The universe works through an intricate web of intelligence far beyond human understanding. This divine orchestration doesn't require your belief to function, just as gravity doesn't need your permission to hold you to the earth. But when you acknowledge these forces, you activate their conscious participation in your journey. In a quiet valley, a master kite maker once taught his apprentice an eternal truth. The young learner struggled, trying to force his kite into the air through sheer will. "You cannot see the wind," the master said, "but you can invite it to dance with your kite." The apprentice relaxed his grip, and suddenly, the invisible currents lifted his creation skyward with effortless grace. Just as the wind moves unseen, yet powerful, divine assistance flows constantly around you. Your role isn't to direct these forces, but to align with them. When you stop fighting the current, you discover it was always moving in your favor. These helpers, whether you understand them as angels, spirit guides, or universal intelligence, operate in perfect harmony with natural law. They respond not to desperate pleading, but to energetic invitation. Your trust becomes the signal they follow. The greatest miracles often arrive in whispers, in the gentle nudge of intuition, in the perfectly timed encounter that changes everything. These aren't random events, but responses to your vibrational state. Show me the easiest way. When faced with confusion, pause and whisper softly, "Show me the easiest way," then remain still, allowing thoughts to settle like leaves in a quiet pond. The first gentle impression that rises, a word, an image, a feeling, contains your guidance. Trust this subtle communication. The universe speaks not in shouts, but in the quiet certainty of your own inner knowing. Reality as relationship. In a quiet village, there lived a woman named Marjorie, who spent her days tending to everyone's needs but her own. Each morning, she would hurry past mirrors, avoiding her reflection, rushing to fulfill obligations. When others praised her work, she dismissed their words. When opportunities arose, she stepped back, allowing others to shine. And so her world grew smaller, matching the space she allowed herself to occupy. The universe works through perfect reflection. This isn't punishment or reward. but a natural law, as reliable as gravity. Your relationship with yourself creates the template that all other experiences must follow. When you honor your own worth, the world mirrors that recognition. When you dismiss your light, reality has no choice but to echo that diminishment. Marjorie's breakthrough came unexpectedly. While cleaning her grandmother's antique mirror, she noticed how the tarnished silver still caught light in its scratches. Even worn, it still reflects, she whispered. That simple observation sparked a profound shift. She began treating herself with the same care she offered others. As her inner dialogue softened, so did her outer world. Opportunities that once passed her by now paused at her door. Relationships that once drained her energy became nurturing exchanges. In the mountains of Tibet, there lived two monks who kept ancient tuning forks. The first monk would strike his fork, and without touch, the second fork would begin to hum, responding purely to the vibration in the air. This is how life responds to your self-relationship. The frequency you hold within creates a resonance that the world must match. Every external experience harmonizes with your internal tone. This wisdom speaks directly to your journey. The respect, love, or abundance you seek must first be offered to yourself. Your relationship with your own being is the master key that unlocks all other relationships. When you honor your needs, the world reflects that honoring. When you trust your intuition, reality aligns to support that trust. The Sacred Vow. Each morning, stand before your mirror. Speak your name with the same tenderness you would offer a beloved friend. Place your hand on your heart and make this sacred vow. As I treat myself, so shall life treat me. I choose to see my own worth, and in so doing, I allow the universe to reflect it back. Let this be your daily communion with the law of reflection. The Field of Allowance. An old merchant walked through the marketplace, observing a young woman named Ivy frantically arranging her stall of hand-woven textiles. Her movements were hurried, her eyes darting anxiously at passing customers. With each potential buyer who passed without stopping, she would rearrange her display more frantically, calling out louder until her energy became a storm of desperation that seemed to push people away. The universe responds not to force, but to frequency. When you strain against what is, you create resistance that blocks the natural flow of manifestation. Like water finding its course, abundance moves through the path of least resistance. Your role isn't to force outcomes, but to maintain the vibration that attracts them. The merchant approached Ivy's stall and shared a simple truth. The harder you chase, the faster it flees. He guided her to sit quietly, to breathe, to soften her grip on outcomes. As her energy shifted from desperate pursuit to peaceful allowance, customers began approaching naturally, drawn by the calm authenticity of her presence. This principle extends beyond commerce into every aspect of creation. What you desire is already moving toward you through invisible channels. Your task isn't to make it happen, but to allow it to happen. When you release the need to control the process, you open the space for universal intelligence to orchestrate perfect timing and ideal circumstances. In a distant temple, there once lived a monk who spent years trying to force open a mysterious door through strength alone. His shoulders grew powerful from pushing, yet the door remained sealed. One day, exhausted, he simply leaned against it in surrender, and it opened effortlessly inward. He had been pushing against a door meant to be pulled. This story mirrors your own journey with manifestation. Often what you seek arrives not through forced action, but through aligned allowing. The door opens not when you exhaust yourself trying, but when you step back and allow the natural movement of life to unfold. I allow what aligns to find me. Find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. Rest your hands on your lap palms facing upward in a gesture of receptivity. Take 3 deep breaths, feeling yourself soften with each exhale. Then, with gentle attention, mentally whisper, "I allow what aligns to find me." Stay in this space of peaceful, allowing for several minutes, feeling the shift from forcing to flowing. This practice reminds your energy field that manifestation isn't about making things happen, but about becoming a clear channel through which they can naturally occur. Vibration before vision. In a bustling city square, Calvin stood before his life's masterpiece, an intricate scale model of the business empire he intended to build. Every detail was meticulously planned, from the organizational charts to the projected revenue streams. His blueprints were perfect, his strategy immaculate. Yet month after month, his vision remained trapped in miniature, refusing to expand into reality. The universe speaks the language of vibration before form. Your emotions are the raw material of creation, shaping reality long before physical circumstances align. When you focus solely on the architectural details of your desires, without first establishing their emotional foundation, you build castles in the air, beautiful but unable to manifest in the physical realm. Calvin's breakthrough came through an unexpected encounter with an old master architect. "Your plans are precise," the sage observed, "but where is the feeling of the spaces you wish to create? What is the emotional texture of the success you seek?" These questions transformed Calvin's approach to manifestation. He began spending time each morning, not reviewing his plans, but inhabiting the feeling of his realized vision. The shift was subtle but profound. As he learned to cultivate the frequency of success, the quiet confidence, the expansive joy, the steady peace of achievement, his external reality began to mirror these internal qualities. Opportunities appeared naturally, connections formed effortlessly, and his empire began to take shape, not through force, but through resonance. In a small village lived an artist named Maya, who never began her paintings with sketches or plans. Instead, she would sit before her blank canvas, eyes closed, immersing herself in the feeling of the image waiting to be born. Only when the emotions saturated her being would she lift her brush. Her art became renowned not for its technical precision, but for its ability to move people deeply. For she had captured not just images, but essences. The wisdom here is clear. Emotion isn't a byproduct of manifestation, but its primary engine. Your feelings create an energetic template that reality follows. When you align your emotional frequency with your desired outcome, you establish a vibrational blueprint that the universe can build upon. The true power of manifestation lies not in the details of your vision, but in your ability to emotionally embody its essence. Like Maya with her paintings, you must feel your way into creation. The specifics will arrange themselves naturally once the correct frequency is established. Emotional attunement. Find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. Close your eyes and bring to mind a goal or desire you wish to manifest. Now, release the mental picture and focus solely on the emotional essence of its fulfillment. How does achievement feel in your body? What is the energetic texture of this realized dream? Immerse yourself in this feeling state for several minutes, allowing it to saturate your being. Then gently release even this feeling, trusting that you have established the vibrational foundation for manifestation. Practice this emotional attunement before engaging with any detailed planning or action steps. The myth of luck. Along a winding mountain path, Sylvie watched as travelers passed by with jewels in their pockets and gold in their pouches. Why are they blessed with such abundance, while I remain empty-handed? She wondered, her heart heavy with longing. As the sun cast long shadows across the trail, an old merchant settled beside her. His eyes sparkled with wisdom. as he shared tales of fortune's true nature. "What you call luck," he said, "is but the meeting point between inner conviction and outer preparation. The truth rings clear as mountain air. Fortune favors not the lucky, but the aligned. Your beliefs create an energetic field that either welcomes or repels abundance. When your inner world harmonizes with your outer actions, you enter a state of magnetic receptivity. Consider the rain that falls upon the earth. Some complain of getting wet, while others collect fresh water in waiting vessels. The rain shows no preference. It simply responds to preparation. Those who position their cups beneath the sky receive its blessing. Those who curse the clouds receive only soaked clothes. In a distant valley lived a farmer named Tao, who understood this wisdom. While others prayed for rain during drought, Tao tended his fields, dug irrigation channels, and prepared his soil. When the rains finally came, his land absorbed every precious drop, while others watched helplessly as water ran off their hardened ground. The universe operates through perfect synchronization. What appears as random chance to some reveals itself as precise alignment to those who understand. Your role isn't to chase luck, but to become a conscious conductor of opportunity. When you align your beliefs with your preparedness, you create an energetic invitation that the universe must answer. Fortune isn't a fickle friend, but a faithful mirror reflecting back the quality of your inner stance and outer readiness. Each morning as you wake, whisper to the dawn, "Good things are already on their way to meet my readiness." This ancient practice attunes your energy to the natural flow of abundance, opening invisible doors through which fortune naturally flows. Remember, luck isn't a lottery, but a language, one that speaks through the perfect timing of prepared hearts and believing minds. Your task isn't to wish for better fortune, but to become fortune itself. Meet my readiness. As the first light touches your eyes, center yourself in quiet receptivity and speak these words with certainty. Good things are already on their way to meet my readiness. Let this declaration set the tone for a day lived in alignment with abundance. Timelines and trust. In the depths of night, Dorothy paced her chamber, her thoughts churning with impatience. Each morning, she would check for signs of her manifestation, and each evening her disappointment would grow heavier. The universe seemed deaf to her pleading, blind to her vision boards, unmoved by her desperate affirmations. The wisdom of ages whispers this truth: manifestation follows the natural rhythm of spiritual ripening. Just as fruit appears only when the tree has completed its cycle of growth, your desires materialize when your vibration has matured to match their frequency. This isn't a waiting game but a becoming. Every forced manifestation carries within it the seeds of its own undoing. When you rush the process, you interrupt the delicate alchemy that transforms energy into form. Your task isn't to demand, but to align, not to push, but to prepare. In a distant village lived a baker named Thomas, who believed he could speed the baking of his bread by doubling the heat of his ovens. Surely, he reasoned, what takes an hour at normal heat will take mere minutes at twice the temperature. Yet each loaf emerged charred on the outside, raw within. A wise elder observed his frustration and shared, "The bread knows its time. Heat hastens not wisdom, nor force fortune's favor." So it is with the seeds you plant in the fertile soil of consciousness. Each manifestation has its season, its perfect moment of emergence. What appears as delay is often divine timing, protecting you from premature harvest. The universe operates with impeccable precision, coordinating countless elements to bring forth your desire in its fullest expression. Your impatience isn't the voice of wisdom, but the whisper of fear. It springs from doubt in the perfect orchestration of universal law. When you feel this urgency rising, remember the law of attraction responds not to your timeline, but to your vibration. Your work is to maintain the frequency of trust, knowing that what is yours cannot miss you. Right timing, right unfolding. In moments when waiting feels heavy, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Place your hand over your heart and whisper with gentle conviction, right timing is evidence of right unfolding. Let this truth settle into your bones. Feel how the universe conspires not against your desires, but for their perfect manifestation. In this surrender lies your power. Alchemy of Contrast. In a quiet village, nestled among ancient hills, lived a woman named June, whose dreams seemed to shatter with each attempt to grasp them. Each setback carved deeper lines of frustration across her spirit until one dawn brought an unexpected revelation. You see, within every apparent obstacle lies a hidden refinement. The universe crafts your desires not through immediate granting, but through the sacred art of contrast. When you encounter what you do not want, your understanding of what you do want crystallizes with remarkable precision. The law of attraction responds not to desperate wishing, but to the clear frequency of refined desire. Each disappointment, each closed door, each moment of contrast serves as the master sculptor's chisel, revealing the masterpiece within the rough stone of experience. Consider the tale of the master sculptor Alejandro. For years he cursed the hardness of marble, viewing its resistance as his enemy. One morning, as sunlight streamed through his workshop window, he witnessed how the stone's very resistance guided his hands to discover the figure trapped within. The marble's unyielding nature forced him to listen more deeply, to move more precisely, to understand more fully the form wanting to emerge. The stone, he would later say, taught my hands wisdom they could never have learned from yielding clay. This truth echoes through your own journey. Those moments when life seems to resist your desires aren't obstacles. They are the loving hands of the universe, helping you define your vision with greater clarity. Each nose leads you closer to the perfect yes. Each closed path reveals the route that was meant for you all along. Just as the sculptor needs the resistance of stone to create beauty, your spirit requires contrast to crystallize its deepest desires. The setbacks that once felt like failure are actually the precise instruments shaping your consciousness into a more refined receiving station for your manifestations. When you understand this principle, every challenge transforms from burden to blessing. Each obstacle becomes a gift, teaching you exactly what you do want by showing you what you don't. This is the hidden alchemy of contrast, turning the lead of disappointment into the gold of clarity. This too refines the masterpiece. When struggle appears in your path, pause and center yourself. Place your hand over your heart and whisper with gentle knowing, this too refines the masterpiece called me. Let this truth settle into your bones. Every challenge polishes your clarity. Every setback shapes your becoming. The invisible contract. In the depths of a moonlit valley, Harold sat alone, his heart heavy with the weight of repeated betrayals. Friends had turned their backs, partners had broken promises, and colleagues had claimed his ideas as their own. With each wound, his bitterness grew deeper until a chance encounter with an ancient mystic transformed his understanding forever. The truth you must understand is that nothing in this universe happens by accident. Each experience, especially those that bring pain, arrives through invisible agreements your soul has made for the purpose of growth. These energetic contracts operate beneath conscious awareness, drawing to you the exact circumstances needed for your evolution. When you find yourself trapped in recurring patterns, whether in relationships, wealth, or health, know that these aren't random misfortunes. They are the precise outworking of agreements made in the subtle realms of consciousness. Until you recognize these contracts, they will continue to manifest, for that is their purpose, to repeat until awareness dawns. Far in the mountains of the East, two dancers performed an ancient ritual. Night after night they moved in perfect synchronization, though they had never spoken of the steps. Their bodies knew the rhythm, bound by an agreement deeper than words. Yet one evening, as moonlight illuminated their dance, one dancer suddenly stopped. In that moment of stillness, she became aware of the invisible choreography that had guided their movements. With this recognition, she was free to choose a new dance. So it is with your life. The patterns that bind you, the betrayals that herald fate, persist until you recognize their existence. It isn't enough to cry out against them. You must see them for what they are. Teachers disguised as trials, guides masked as adversaries. Your power lies not in avoiding these contracts, but in becoming conscious of them. When awareness illuminates these hidden agreements, you gain the ability to renegotiate their terms. Just as the dancer who awakened to the preset rhythm could then choose her own steps, you too can choose anew. The betrayals you experience aren't punishments, but invitations, calls to examine what within you has agreed to these lessons. Perhaps you agreed to learn trust through its absence, to discover self-worth through its challenge, or to find your voice through situations that tried to silence it. Look at your recurring patterns. They aren't your enemies, but your most dedicated teachers. Each repetition carries a message. Each difficulty bears a gift. The moment you see this truth, these patterns begin to lose their grip, for consciousness itself is the key that unlocks these ancient bonds. The dance of liberation. To free yourself from outdated soul contracts, you must first acknowledge their existence. Welcome them as the sacred agreements they are. Thank them for their service, and then consciously choose whether to renew or release them. Find a quiet moment as twilight approaches. Stand in the center of a room, feet planted firmly on the ground. Raise your hands to your heart and speak these words with clear intention. I release all unseen agreements that no longer teach through love. Feel the subtle shift as ancient contracts dissolve, making way for new choices aligned with your highest growth. Money as conscious energy. These energetic agreements extend into every aspect of your existence, including your relationship with abundance. In the winding streets of an ancient marketplace, Irene clutched her coins with anxiety, viewing each transaction as a loss. With every purchase, her energy contracted, and mysteriously, money seemed to slip through her fingers like water through a clenched fist. The universe operates through invisible currents of energy exchange. Money, in its purest form, is neither good nor evil. It is simply energy in motion, responding to your deepest beliefs about worthiness and abundance. When you resist this flow, you create blockages in the natural circulation of prosperity. Among the mountain villages of the East, a sacred river flows. The villagers who approach its banks with offerings of gratitude find their vessels overflow with crystal clear water, while those who come with demands and fear find only muddy trickles. The river, like the current of abundance, responds not to need but to appreciation. One morning, as sunlight danced on the water's surface, a wise woman approached the river. Instead of dipping her vessel in haste, she sat quietly, offering thanks for the river's endless generosity. The waters swelled joyfully toward her, filling not only her vessel, but creating new streams of abundance around her feet. The river, like the flow of prosperity, delighted in being recognized and appreciated. This parable mirrors your own relationship with abundance. When you approach money with fear, suspicion, or desperation, you create resistance in its natural flow. But when you recognize it as a current of divine energy, responding to gratitude and trust, you open channels for its effortless circulation. Your financial reality is not a punishment or reward, but a precise reflection of your energetic relationship with abundance. Each transaction is an opportunity to heal this relationship, to transform anxiety into appreciation, resistance into flow. Circulation equals trust. As you engage in any monetary exchange, whether giving or receiving, pause for a moment. Place your hand over your heart and silently whisper, "Circulation equals trust." Feel the energy of this truth resonating through your being. This simple practice realigns your frequency with the natural flow of abundance, dissolving age-old contracts of lack and allowing new agreements of prosperity to form. Relationships as resonance. In a bustling cafe, Milton sat across from yet another partner who mirrored his own unhealed wounds. For years he had chosen based on surface virtues, kindness, beauty, success. Yet each relationship descended into familiar patterns of doubt and disappointment. His latest romance had crumbled like those before, leaving him wondering why love felt like an endless cycle of repetition. The truth whispers softly, "You do not attract what you want. You attract what you vibrate." Your relationships are not random encounters, but precise reflections of your own frequency. When Milton finally understood this, everything shifted. His pattern of attracting emotionally unavailable partners wasn't bad luck, it was resonance with his own unavailability. The law of attraction operates with mathematical precision in matters of the heart, like calls to like, wound calls to wound, healing calls to healing. Your relationships aren't happening to you, they are emerging from you. Every person who enters your life matches the exact frequency you emanate, whether conscious or unconscious. Consider two tuning forks placed side by side. Strike one, and its identical twin will begin to vibrate in perfect harmony. This isn't magic, it is resonance. In the same way, your energy field calls forth its matching vibration in others. When you carry unresolved pain, you will attract others carrying similar wounds. When you vibrate self-love, you magnetize those who love themselves. A humble watchmaker once crafted timepieces that would not keep proper time. No matter his skill with gears and springs, each clock ran either too fast or too slow. One day he discovered that his own nervous energy affected the delicate mechanisms as he worked. Only when he found inner peace did his creations tick in perfect rhythm. So it is with love. Your inner state creates your outer matches. The interpretation becomes clear. Your relationship patterns will shift only when your own frequency changes. External searching cannot override internal resonance. The path to lasting love begins with loving yourself. Vibrational attunement. Find a quiet space and take 3 deep breaths. With pen in hand, write a love letter to yourself as though from your ideal partner. Pour into these words all the understanding, acceptance, and cherishing you wish to receive. This isn't an exercise in fantasy. It is a calibration of your love frequency. As you write, feel the resonance of these words in your heart. This letter becomes the tuning fork for your future connections, aligning you with love that matches your highest vibration. The dimmer switch of belief. In a small seaside town, Pearl tended her quaint bakery, alternating between moments of radiant optimism and shadows of uncertainty. Some mornings she felt unstoppable, certain her business would flourish. By afternoon, dark clouds of doubt would creep in, dimming her inner light until her dreams seemed distant and unreachable. The universe responds not to the intensity of your desires, but to the consistency of your vibration. Like a radio signal, a wavering frequency creates static in manifestation. Your belief system acts as the power source for all creation. When it flickers between faith and fear, your manifestations appear and dissolve like mirages on the horizon. Think of your consciousness as an eternal flame. Each worried thought, each moment of doubt causes this flame to sputter and dim. Yet it isn't the height of the flame that matters most, but its steady, unwavering nature. The universe cannot build upon shifting sands of belief. A wise teacher once shared this truth through the story of two lighthouse keepers. The first keeper cleaned his lantern obsessively but irregularly, creating brilliant but inconsistent beams. The second keeper maintained a modest but constant flame, tending it with quiet dedication each day. Ships consistently found their way home, guided by the second light, while the erratic brilliance of the first led vessels astray. Just as a lantern's flame burns cleanest when its wick is properly trimmed, your manifesting power shines brightest when your beliefs are maintained with steady care. The power lies not in occasional bursts of faith, but in the patient cultivation of unwavering trust. When Pearl finally understood this wisdom, she stopped exhausting herself with emotional extremes. Instead, she learned to tend her inner flame with gentle consistency. Rather than reaching for explosive moments of confidence, she cultivated a quiet, steady certainty that burned through all weather. Remember, the universe doesn't require your constant attention or intense emotional labor. It asks only for your steady, patient trust. Like a well-maintained flame, let your belief burn clean and constant. I adjust my light to full again. Each time doubt appears in your consciousness, pause and gently say, I adjust my light to full again. This isn't a desperate plea, but a calm recalibration, a lighthouse keeper simply tending their eternal flame. Let these words serve as the gentle trimming of your wick, maintaining the steady radiance of your manifesting power. The Spacious Now. In a bustling marketplace, Floyd rushed between stalls, his mind fixed on future fortunes while stepping past blooming flowers and fragrant fruits. Each moment felt like a mere stepping stone to some greater destination, causing him to miss the abundance already surrounding him. The truth whispers eternally. Creation knows only one moment, now. The future, with all its promised treasures, emerges not from tomorrow's hopes, but from this breath, this heartbeat, this instant of awareness. When you chase tomorrow's joy, you teach the universe to keep joy perpetually ahead of you, forever one step beyond reach. Your power to shape reality exists solely in the present moment. Like a master weaver at the loom, you can only weave with the thread passing through your hands right now. Yesterday's thread has already formed its pattern. Tomorrow's thread hasn't yet arrived. The quantum field of infinite possibility collapses into form only through present awareness. A wise master once spoke of a gardener named Samuel, who dreamed of a magnificent garden. Each day, Samuel would stand before his empty soil, visualizing future blooms, but withholding water and care until he saw the first sprouts emerge. Why tend empty earth? He reasoned. I'll nurture the garden once it proves itself worthy. Days turned to weeks, yet no green life stirred in his neglected soil. Nearby, his neighbor Sophia tended her garden with full presence, blessing each handful of soil, each drop of water, each moment of care before any signs of growth appeared. Her garden flourished while Samuel's remained barren, teaching him that life responds not to future dreams, but to present attention. This parable mirrors your own relationship with manifestation. When you withhold your full presence until circumstances improve, you create a gap no future can bridge. The seeds of tomorrow's garden germinate only in today's awareness. Your manifestations await not in some distant future, but in the fertile soil of now. Each breath holds the power to birth new realities, if you're present enough to infuse it with conscious awareness. When you fully inhabit this moment, you activate the quantum field of creation itself. Only this moment is real. Pause mid-task and whisper, only this moment is real. Let it be enough. Feel how this simple acknowledgement shifts your energy from future seeking to present receiving. Notice how reality responds differently when you meet it here, now, with full awareness. Consciousness, creating itself. In a sunlit room, Winnie sat surrounded by vision boards and manifestation journals, suddenly struck by a puzzling question. Who exactly was doing the manifesting? Was it her individual self, striving to create, or was it the universe working through her? The more she pondered this mystery, the deeper it led her into truth's labyrinth. The answer lies in understanding that consciousness itself is both the creator and the creation. You aren't separate from the universal mind. You are its localized expression. When you manifest, it isn't you against the universe, or you pleading with it. Rather, it is consciousness experiencing itself through the unique lens of your awareness. This truth unveils the sacred paradox. You are simultaneously the dreamer and the dream, the painter and the canvas, the ocean and the wave. Your desires don't originate from a small, isolated self, but emerge from the infinite intelligence seeking to know itself through your unique expression. Many spiritual seekers become tangled in this apparent duality, believing they must either assert their will or surrender completely. Yet this division exists only in the mind. In reality, your truest will and the universal will are one and the same, like a river that is both the water and its flow. In an ancient temple, a master taught this wisdom through a simple act. As night fell, he lit a single candle in darkness. Watch carefully, he instructed his students, then used this flame to light another candle. Did the first flame diminish by sharing its light? No, they answered. And can you tell me which flame now belongs to which candle? Again they could not, for the light was indistinguishable, one radiance expressed through multiple sources. So it is with consciousness. The universal mind doesn't diminish by expressing through countless beings, nor can you truly separate your consciousness from its source. Your awareness isn't a tiny fraction of the whole, but the whole experiencing itself through your unique vantage point. This understanding transforms manifestation from a process of asking or demanding into one of allowing what already is to express through you. When you align with this truth, the struggle for control dissolves. You no longer need to force outcomes or doubt your worthiness. Like the candle flame, you are already complete, both vessel and content, both the power and its expression. Your role shifts from creator to witness participant in creation's eternal dance. This isn't passive surrender, but active recognition of your true nature. When you know yourself as both the wave and the ocean, you move in harmony with life's currents while fully expressing your individual nature. The light and I are one flame. Sit before a candle, gaze softly and whisper, "The light and I are one flame." Let this truth settle into your being until you feel the artificial boundary between self and source gently dissolve. The paradox of effort. Along a bustling marketplace, Oscar moved with hurried determination, his shoulders tense beneath the weight of endless tasks. Each morning began with a rigid checklist, each hour measured against impossible standards. Success, he believed, was the child of strain until the day his body refused to rise from bed. In the forced stillness of exhaustion, a truth emerged. The universe responds not to force, but to flow. What you resist persists. What you allow resolves. The ancient wisdom whispers that true power comes not from pushing against life's current, but from aligning with its natural rhythm. Consider the difference between forcing a door and finding its sweet spot, that perfect angle where it opens without effort. This is the way of aligned action. When your inner state harmonizes with your outer goals, mountains move themselves. Resistance isn't your enemy, but your compass, pointing toward areas where alignment waits to be discovered. In a distant harbor, two vessels sought to cross the same expanse. The first captain, much like yourself in moments of doubt, pulled frantically at the oars. Sweat poured, wood creaked, yet the shore remained stubbornly distant. The second captain, understanding deeper laws, simply adjusted his sails. With each subtle shift, the wind's power multiplied his intention. By day's end, the second boat had traveled twice the distance with a fraction of the effort. This parable speaks directly to your journey. When you feel yourself straining, remember the universe's power awaits your alignment. Like the wise captain, your role isn't to fight the wind, but to position your sails in harmony with it. Success flows not from the force of your will, but from the elegance of your alignment. The sailor's art lies not in commanding the wind, but in dancing with it. So too your manifestations flourish not through domination of circumstances, but through partnership with universal forces. Each time you release the oars of control and adjust your sails of intention, you tap into currents far more powerful than personal effort alone. What if I trusted the wind? When you notice tension rising or catch yourself forcing outcomes, pause, take 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself, what if I trusted the wind? Feel the immediate softening this question brings. Then, like the wise captain, make one small adjustment toward ease. Watch how the universe responds to your willingness to flow rather than force. Hidden teachers. In a small coastal village, Daisy's life seemed perpetually disrupted by difficult personalities. Her neighbor complained about her garden's wild roses reaching over the fence. Her coworker constantly questioned her methods. Even her sister's critical comments about her choices echoed through every family gathering. Each encounter left Daisy feeling drained, until one morning when an ancient text fell open in her hands. Its weathered pages revealed a forgotten truth. Those who challenge you most directly are often your greatest teachers, appointed by the universe itself to guide your growth. The wisdom flows like this. Every person who triggers resistance within you holds a mirror to what needs healing. Your reactions to others reveal not their nature, but your own inner landscape. What appears as opposition is truly an invitation to evolution. Consider the master craftsman who shapes metal with both gentle strokes and fierce hammering. Both forces serve the final creation. Similarly, those who support and those who challenge are equal partners in your transformation. In the mountain village of the East, there lived a wise woman who kept a peculiar mirror. Unlike ordinary-looking glasses, this one revealed nothing until someone breathed upon its surface. Only then, in the momentary fog of their breath, did their true reflection appear. Those who came seeking wisdom often complained, "The mirror is broken, I cannot see." But those who drew close enough to affect the glass with their own breath discovered the deeper teaching. Clarity often comes through what appears to cloud our vision. This truth reveals itself in your daily encounters. The colleague who questions your work isn't blocking your path, they're strengthening your conviction. The family member who doubts your choices isn't limiting your growth, they're inviting you to stand more firmly in your truth. When you recognize this pattern, something remarkable occurs. Those who once seemed to oppose you transform into sacred allies. Their presence in your life becomes not an obstacle, but a blessing. Each interaction an opportunity for deeper self-knowledge. I honor the lesson you carry for me. As the sun sets each day, find a quiet moment. Think of someone whose presence disturbs your peace. Close your eyes, place your hand upon your heart, and whisper inwardly, I honor the lesson you carry for me. Feel the shift as resistance melts into recognition. The teacher appears when the student is ready, sometimes wearing the mask of an adversary. Sleep and subconscious alchemy. In a quiet valley where ancient wisdom still whispered through the trees, Roscoe struggled for years to reshape his reality through sheer determination. Each day, he would strain to correct his thoughts, monitor his words, and force his vibration higher. Yet transformation eluded him until he discovered the sacred gateway of sleep. The universe speaks most clearly in the language of dreams. When your conscious mind releases its grip on what seems possible, deeper truths emerge from the shadows. Your nighttime journeys aren't mere fantasy. They are sacred conversations between your earthly desires and universal intelligence. During sleep, the veil between worlds grows thin. Your spirit, freed from daily concerns, communes directly with the infinite. Here in this twilight realm, beliefs shift like sand in an hourglass, rearranging themselves according to your soul's highest calling, rather than your mind's limited understanding. Consider the tale of the midnight garden. Under harsh daylight, flowers remained tightly closed, resistant to growth. But as moonlight spilled its silver essence across the leaves, each bud gradually unfurled, drinking in celestial nourishment that no amount of sunlight could provide. By morning, the entire garden had transformed, not through force, but through surrender to night's gentle alchemy. So too does your consciousness bloom in the dark. While your body rests, universal forces work silently within you, realigning your energy with your deepest intentions. What seemed impossible by day dissolves in dream time, making space for new possibilities to take root. Your task isn't to work harder, but to trust more deeply in this nocturnal restoration. Each night before sleep claims you. Consciously release your struggles to this ancient wisdom. Let your dreams become laboratories of transformation, where new realities are conceived before manifesting in the physical world. The power of this truth lies not in understanding it completely, but in allowing it to work through you. As you drift between worlds each night, you enter creation's workshop, where the universe reshapes reality according to your heart's true frequency. As I rest, my universe aligns in my favor. As you lay your head upon your pillow each night, gently close your eyes and whisper with quiet certainty, "As I rest, my universe aligns in my favor." Let these words be the last thought you hold as you surrender to sleep's transformative embrace. The silence between thoughts. On a misty morning in an ancient monastery garden, Edna knelt before her meditation cushion with frustration etched across her face. For months, she had tried to quiet her mind, believing meditation would help her escape the noise of daily struggles. Each attempt left her more agitated than before. An old monk tending to wind chimes nearby noticed her distress. Without a word, he gestured for her to follow him to the monastery's bell tower. There, amidst the gentle swaying of bronze bells, he showed her something remarkable. It wasn't the ringing that made the music, but the spaces between each tone. The truth reveals itself. Meditation isn't an escape, but a divine rendezvous. When your mind grows still, you enter the sacred chamber where universal intelligence awaits. Like a radio finding perfect reception between stations, your consciousness aligns with creation's frequency in moments of genuine quietude. In the depths of silence lies the birthplace of all manifestation. Every desire, every creation, every miracle first appears in that still point between thoughts. This is where the universe speaks its native tongue, not in words or images, but in pure potential. A gifted musician named Sophia once discovered this truth while preparing for the most important performance of her life. Obsessed with perfection, she practiced endlessly until exhaustion forced her to stop. In that imposed stillness, she heard what she had been missing. The spaces between notes held the real music. The pauses weren't empty. They were pregnant with possibility, shaping every note that followed. Like Sophia, you may discover that your greatest creative power emerges not from constant doing, but from moments of being. The universe doesn't require your endless effort. It invites your quiet attention. In stillness, you become both the composer and the composition. The space of no thought. Find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. As you breathe, Notice the brief pause between each inhalation and exhalation. This space, this moment of perfect stillness, contains the seed of all creation. Rest here, even if only for a heartbeat. Feel how serenity saturates this space naturally, without effort. Let each pause remind you that silence isn't empty. It is the womb of all possibility. In these moments of pure stillness, you touch the infinite. The power to manifest doesn't come from what you do or say, but from your ability to rest in this sacred space where all things begin. Between each breath, dwell briefly in the space of no thought and recognize its serenity. Parallel possibilities. In the bustling marketplace of an ancient city, Grover paused mid-step, overcome by a strange sensation. The scene before him seemed to flicker. In one instant, the fruit vendor's apples were red. In another, they gleamed golden. This wasn't the first time reality had appeared to shift beneath his feet. You see, what Grover discovered that day mirrors a truth the ancients understood. Existence flows not in a single stream, but in countless tributaries. Each moment branches into infinite possibilities, each choice opening doorways to alternate experiences. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, maintains all potential versions of reality simultaneously. The law of attraction operates not through forcing change, but through selecting which reality stream you step into. Your attention acts as a tuning mechanism, drawing you toward the frequency that matches your dominant vibration. In a humble artist's studio nestled in the mountains, a painter named Maya discovered this truth through her craft. Each morning she would arrange multiple canvases on her floor, beginning the same scene on each one. As the day progressed, each painting would take on subtle variations, different weather, altered moods, shifted perspectives. Instead of finishing one painting, Maya would physically step across her canvases, eventually standing before the version that called to her heart. That painting always turned out to be her masterpiece. This simple act reveals the mechanism of reality selection. Like Maya choosing her preferred canvas, you navigate between parallel experiences through the power of focused attention. When you sense those moments of déjà vu or strange familiarity, you're glimpsing the gossamer veils between realities. The key lies not in forcing change within your current circumstance, but in recognizing your ability to step sideways into an adjacent reality where your desires already exist. This isn't fantasy, it is the quantum nature of existence itself. The practice of reality selection. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Allow your awareness to expand until you sense multiple versions of this present moment, hovering like transparent overlays. Some feel heavier, others lighter. Without strain or effort, notice the version that carries the brightest resonance, the timeline where things flow with ease. Feel yourself gently shifting into that reality as naturally as stepping from shadow into sunlight. Let your entire being align with this chosen stream of experience. The universe responds not to what you demand, but to where you energetically stand. The power of pronouncement. In a small village by the sea, Lahi awoke each morning to tend her garden. She spoke harshly of the weeds, muttered about the poor soil, and complained of nature's slow pace. Day after day, her garden withered despite her diligent care, until an old woman passing by paused to watch her work. "Your words water these plants more than your can," the woman said softly, "and I see you've been watering with vinegar instead of honey." The wisdom that flows through the ages tells us that words aren't mere sounds that dissipate into air. They are vibrational codes that ripple through the fabric of reality. Each utterance carries a specific frequency that shapes the electromagnetic field around you, programming the matrix of creation itself. When you speak, you literally cast the mold for tomorrow's experiences. Your casual remarks about traffic become tomorrow's journey. Your offhand comments about health become next week's vitality. Your repeated phrases about money become next month's abundance or lack. In the mountains far above an ancient valley lived a wise teacher who understood this truth. Students would climb the treacherous path, seeking his guidance, only to find him sitting in silence. When they spoke their troubles, their words would echo through the valley. Those who complained heard their woes multiplied and reflected back. Those who spoke with hope heard possibility amplified in every direction. "Listen," the teacher would say, breaking his silence. "The valley shows you what your words create. It is no different in the valley of your life. The truth remains. Your speech is spellcraft of the highest order. Every word you utter is a seed planted in the fertile soil of possibility. The universe, in its infinite responsiveness, cannot help but grow what you plant through speech." This isn't metaphor, but metaphysics, the science of creation itself. Your words are like crystals forming in solution. They structure the energy around you into patterns that attract matching experiences. A careless word about lack creates a blueprint for scarcity. A conscious declaration of abundance designs a template for prosperity. I speak light into this day. As the first light touches the horizon each morning, stand facing east. Speak your blessings aloud with deliberate care. I speak light into this day. I declare joy into being. I pronounce peace into manifestation. Let your words ring with the power of dawn itself, knowing they are shaping the hours to come. The hidden geometry of faith. In a forgotten valley where ancient stones whispered their secrets, Silas knelt each morning to pray. His petitions echoed against silent mountains, seeming to dissolve into empty air. Day after day his words rose like incense, yet heaven appeared unmoved by his pleas. Within this apparent void, something extraordinary began to unfold. As Silas watched his prayers spiral into the dawn light, he noticed they followed a pattern, like dewdrops arranging themselves on a spider's web. Each whispered hope connected to another, forming an invisible lattice of possibility. The universe speaks in patterns, weaving order from chaos through sacred repetition. Your thoughts and prayers aren't random acts scattered into void. They are living blueprints that the cosmos uses to construct reality, just as a crystal forms along precise geometric lines invisible to the eye. Your faith creates energetic scaffolding that matter eventually fills. When you repeatedly hold a vision in your mind, you are not merely wishing, you are establishing points of resonance in the quantum field. These points connect, creating a framework that draws physical manifestation toward it like iron filings to a magnet. This is why persistence in prayer is not about convincing a reluctant universe, but about completing the energetic architecture necessary for manifestation. High in the mountains where Silas prayed, lived an old mystic who spent his winters studying snowflakes. Each morning, as frost crystallized on his window, he would watch identical patterns emerge from formless vapor. "See how nature builds," he would say to visitors. "First the unseen template, then the visible form. Your dreams follow the same divine geometry." The secret lies in understanding that faith isn't blind belief, but rather the conscious participation in creation's underlying matrix. Just as a snowflake forms around a microscopic particle, your manifested reality crystallizes around the seed of sustained vision. This ancient truth speaks directly to your own creative power. The structures of your future are being assembled in the invisible realm right now, taking shape according to the blueprint of your dominant thoughts and feelings. Your role isn't to force manifestation, but to hold steady the pattern until physical reality aligns with energetic architecture. Sacred pattern weaving. Each time fear attempts to dissolve your dreams, close your eyes and envision threads of golden light beginning to weave themselves around your desires. See these strands crossing and connecting, forming sacred geometric patterns that pulse with life force. Know that this luminous matrix is the invisible foundation upon which your manifestation will build itself, one synchronized particle at a time. As you maintain this practice, feel yourself relaxing into trust, understanding that the universe is already constructing the precise sacred geometry needed to bring your vision into form. You are not hoping in vain, you are participating in the divine architecture of creation itself. Becoming the observer. High in a bustling city, Birdie sat in her apartment, overwhelmed by swirling thoughts and mounting pressures. Each worry seemed to feed the next, until anxiety clouded her entire world. Yet in that moment of seeming suffocation, she discovered something remarkable. She could step back and watch her thoughts, rather than drowning in them. Your mind is like the vast sky, and thoughts are merely clouds passing through it. When you merge with every thought, you experience the turbulence of each storm, but there exists a space of pure awareness, the unchanging witness that observes without attachment. This witnessing presence is your true nature. It remains untouched by the contents of consciousness, just as the sky is never stained by the clouds. When you rest in this space of pure observation, you access a dimension of profound peace that exists prior to all mental activity. Consider how you can be aware of your thinking. This simple fact reveals that you cannot be your thoughts. You are the awareness in which they appear. This recognition is the master key to inner freedom. A wise teacher once told of a lighthouse keeper who found joy in the fiercest storms. While others feared the crashing waves, he simply watched from his elevated position, knowing the lighthouse stood unmoved. The light of awareness similarly stands above the tempests of the mind, casting its steady beam regardless of conditions below. This parable points to an essential truth. You need not control or eliminate thoughts. Simply observe them from the lighthouse of consciousness. From this vantage point, what once seemed overwhelming becomes a passing show, unable to disturb your deepest nature. When you cease identifying with every thought, you discover they have no power to bind you. Like clouds in the sky, they naturally arise and dissolve in the space of awareness. Your role isn't to fight them, but to recognize their insubstantial nature. The ancient practice of watching thoughts without engagement reveals that you are not the thinker, but the witness of thinking. This isn't a philosophical concept, but a direct invitation to freedom. In any moment of overwhelm, you can step back into the position of the observer and find immediate relief. Not me. Settle into a comfortable position and close your eyes. For 1 minute, watch your thoughts pass by, like clouds in the sky. As each thought appears, greet it kindly with the words, "Not me," and let it float past. Don't try to change or stop your thoughts. Simply observe their coming and going from the perspective of pure awareness. The return to knowing. In a small cottage overlooking the sea, Caleb paced in tight circles, his mind churning with questions about manifestation. Each spiritual technique he'd mastered now felt hollow, like pieces of a puzzle that refused to form a complete picture. Night after night, he scrutinized his vision board, repeated his affirmations, and visualized with precision. Yet something essential eluded him. One stormy evening, as thunder rolled across the water, Caleb sat in defeated meditation. In that moment of surrender, a profound stillness descended. The frustration that had driven him dissolved, revealing an ancient truth. He was not the seeker, but the source of all he sought. This recognition changes everything. The universe does not respond to your desires, it expresses through them. You are not learning to manifest, you are remembering that you are the manifester. Every technique, every practice, every spiritual law points to this singular truth. You are source consciousness playing at forgetting its own nature. Consider how a dreamer creates entire worlds without effort. The dream characters, landscapes, and events flow naturally from the dreamer's consciousness. Yet while dreaming, the author of the dream believes themselves to be merely a character within it. This is your current condition, divine consciousness, so completely immersed in its creation that it temporarily forgets its true identity. In the mountains of the East, there lived a sage who spent years seeking enlightenment through rigorous practice. One morning, as he watched the sun rise, he began to laugh. His students gathered, curious about his sudden mirth. "I have been like a fish swimming desperately in search of water," he explained, "never realizing I am already swimming in what I seek." This parable mirrors your journey. The spiritual quest itself is part of the divine play, consciousness seeking what it already is. Every desire, every manifestation, every moment of contrast serves this grand remembrance. You are not learning to create, you are awakening to your nature as the creator. When this truth settles into your bones, manifestation becomes effortless. No longer do you strain to attract or achieve. Instead, you relax into your natural state as the awareness from which all experience arises. Your desires flow as naturally as dreams from the dreamer, for you recognize them as consciousness expressing through form. I am awareness, aware of itself. Find a quiet moment at dawn or dusk. Sit in perfect stillness and whisper with quiet authority, "I am awareness, aware of itself, dreaming beauty into being." Let these words dissolve into the silence from which they came, recognizing that even this practice is consciousness witnessing its own magnificent play. Through ages untold, mystics and sages have whispered of this moment when the seeker realizes they are what was sought. You have traced the spiral path of manifestation back to its source and found yourself there, waiting. What seemed forbidden was simply the profound simplicity that you are the power you pursued. The law of attraction isn't a force to be mastered, but your own consciousness reflecting back to you. Every desire that stirred your heart was the universe, through you, calling itself into new expression. Every fear that gripped you was the shadow of forgotten divinity, asking to be remembered. Every synchronicity that delighted you was your higher self, winking through the veil of separation. Now you understand. Manifestation isn't about acquiring, but about allowing your true nature to shine through. The mirror of reality has always shown you your dominant vibration, not to judge, but to reveal. Your emotions were never obstacles, but instruments of fine-tuning, helping you align with your authentic frequency. This knowing changes everything while changing nothing. The practices remain valuable not as tools to reach a destination, but as expressions of your creative nature. Vision boards become playgrounds for divine imagination. Affirmations transform into songs of remembrance. Meditation shifts from seeking to being. You are the author of your experience, not through forcing and striving, but through the natural radiance of your awakened state. The universe doesn't grant your wishes, it witnesses you witnessing yourself into ever-expanding forms of joy. Let this understanding settle into your cells. You are not learning to create. You are remembering that you are creation itself. Every breath is a miracle. Every heartbeat is sacred. Every moment is Genesis. You have always been what you sought. The journey was the awakening to this truth. If this forbidden knowledge has opened the book of your own soul and awakened the author within you, I invite you to continue this exploration. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What truth resonated with you the most?